Today I'm going to show you how to spice up your basketball highlight B-roll in Adobe After Effects. So recently I posted a little 30-second tutorial on Instagram about how I use some special effects in one of the basketball videos that I made, and it got a lot of questions, so I wanted to make a tutorial that went over kind of my thought process and some of the reasons why I use some effects, or kind of my personal style when I make sports videos for client or for personal use. So let's jump into After Effects and get started. So we have this clip here. I've already done a little bit of work on it because I didn't really know I was going to be making this tutorial, but I'll play through just so you can see it. It's a pretty standard clip, not really much to it. There's already a color grade on it, which I should note. I did the color grade beforehand. Normally when you're doing special effects you want to color grade after the fact, but I'm pretty comfortable with this specific lighting environment, so I just kind of did it and it's fine. The first thing that you want to do, or the first thing that I did, is start doing all of my tracking. So for this shot I stabilized the motion of the shot around the player first, and then I tracked the camera and tracked the ball after. So the first thing you do is you go into Tracker, Stabilize Motion, and what you're doing here is you are tracking the position of the player throughout the entire shot. So if you come into the Layers panel here, we can actually see. So you can see the tracker is around the player's head, and I've literally just gone through and tracked using Stabilize Motion over here all the way through the shot so that the tracker follows his head. And what that does is keeps his head in the same place in the frame throughout the entire shot, which creates a cool effect that focuses on the player. So that's why I've done that. The next track that I did was up here on this null object, and I actually tracked the position of the camera. I didn't track the position of the camera throughout the entire shot, but if you come into the composition panel, you can see these red trackers here. I tracked the position of the camera just while I had effects on, because some of the effects we're going to add later, we want them to stick with the movement of the camera so that it looks like they're part of the scene and not just thrown on top. So I tracked the movement of the camera and applied it to a null object, and that's going to be important for later when we start linking the position of certain effects to this position that follows the camera movement. The final track I did, and this leads us into the first effect, is I tracked the ball. So you can see there's a mask here that starts when I want the effect that's going to go on the ball to start. So there's the track of the ball. I tracked it right behind the backboard. Here the ball got totally hidden, so I had to kind of guess, but I just continued tracking it. And this is with the pen tool here. I went and drew a mask with the ellipse tool. I held shift and I just drew out a circle, and I followed the ball around with that. So I drew that mask, I tracked it all the way through, making a lot of manual adjustments along the way in the tracker tab. And there you go, the ball's off the screen and I can kind of get rid of the mask now. So that's all the tracking I did. Alright, so that leads us into the first effect that I added, which is this glow effect on the ball. So you can see there's actually a saber inner and a saber outer here. So I did an inner glow first, which is like this little, if you zoom in here, it's the little lightning bolts there, and then I did an outer glow, which if you solo it is just a glow with no detail, but it just spreads a little further. So the way I did that is I went into effects and I searched for saber, which is not native to After Effects, but it's a plugin from Video Copilot, which is really awesome and I highly recommend. So you can go and check out Saber by Video Copilot if you want to make these really easy glow effects and lightning effects. Now you can only apply Saber to a pen tool, to a mask made with the pen tool, and actually hand drawn, not something that you use the roto brush for. So I went ahead and drew my mask around the ball. I then added one saber effect as the saber inner glow. After I did that and I had the mask done, I duplicated that layer with Command D, just like this. And I then went into the saber effect and I selected soft smoke and I spread it so it was a little bit wider and created an outer glow, versus here the spread is a little tighter so it creates an inner glow, and I picked the effect Zap. That's what gave me the glow on the ball. The next thing that I did here is I went in and I added a little bit of fog. So this was you can actually create fog in After Effects by using the fractal noise or the CC particle world effects, but I'm not going to really get into how to create fog in After Effects. I honestly just didn't feel like creating my own fog for this because I know how to do it, so I don't feel the urge to do it every single time by hand. So I just dragged a fog effect that I liked. It started off looking like this, and then I just went ahead and turned it to linear dodge, and then it would kind of blend into the background a little bit more. As you can see, I've also gone in and drawn masks on this fog layer to mask out the basket and the player so that they're not as impacted by the fog. And again, this draws focus to the thing that I want to be the focal point in the shot, which is the player. I also went out of the lens flare. There was literally a lens flare effect in After Effects, so I just went lens flare. It's right there. Also, now that I've opened it, I should actually mention this plugin. So this plugin is called FX Console by Video Copilot. It's a very utilitarian plugin, but what it allows you to do is click Control and Spacebar and just search for any effect and then apply it to a layer without having to go into your Effects tab, which is very useful. So I added the lens flare effect right here. I picked the type of lens flare that I wanted, and I just moved it so that it was up in the corner. So you can see the lens flare like right up here. And I went and linked the fog and the lens flare to my null object, basically by going into the position. And what I would do is I would drag this, link it there. Now the fog is attached to the null object. I think I've already done it for the lens flare. Yeah, I have. I've already gone and just dragged this, drop it on the position here, and that makes the fog and the lens flare move with the null object, which is really nice because then they actually are stuck to the camera rather than just floating there. The next thing that I did is I went through and actually drew around the backboard and all the parts of the backboard that aren't transparent. So if you actually zoom into it, you can see right here, this part is glass, so you'd be able to see through that. So I didn't draw a pen tool around, I didn't use the pen tool to draw a mask around that. But all these other parts of the backboard that you wouldn't be able to see through, we want those to cover the ball because it would make no sense if it was off and you could just see the ball through a solid object. So we drew a pen tool around the backboard from the first frame where the basketball covers it. So here the outer glow is going behind the backboard. If we take it off, you can see the outer glow through the backboard, which we don't want. So I put it on, I drew a pen tool, used the pen tool to draw a mask around the backboard, and I tracked that all the way forward so that for the duration of the time where the ball was in front of the backboard, you wouldn't be able to see the ball through the backboard. So I went ahead and did that, and I carried that out all the way till the end here. And then the last thing I did was I added some sparks to kind of sell the effect of the ball getting dunked, because it's full of, like, the ball is covered in electricity, so it doesn't really make sense if that doesn't react to the impact of a dunk happening. So I went and added some sparks here. Now if you want to add sparks, the best way to do it natively in After Effects is to use the CC particle world effect, unless you have any external plugins, but I'm not getting into that. I'm actually not even going to get into how to use the CC particle world effect. That might be something for a different tutorial. But again, going back to that fog thing, because I know how to do it, I didn't really feel the urge to do it because I was kind of working on a big project here. So I just grabbed some sparks off of fire, and then I added a glow effect and a lumetri color effect. So if you disable these, you can see they're just like random sparks off of a fire, and then you can add the glow effect and the lumetri color effect, and now they kind of look like electricity sparks. So that's all I really did for that. It was pretty straightforward. This is all free stock footage that I got. I also kind of added a fake spotlight effect by using a dark purple solid. So you can see here, there's kind of like a vignette around the player, and then he's the focus, which kind of adds to the idea that he's like glowing because he has this like electric ball in his hand. So the way I did that is I went layer, new, solid. You choose a dark solid, not quite black, but like pretty dark, kind of like this gray over here, kind of like this gray over here. That's fine. Click OK, and you get like this type of solid. And all I did is I used the pen tool to draw a mask around approximately where the player is. I'm being pretty rough with this right now, but that's all I did. And then you change the blend mode to subtract. Click T to bring up opacity, reduce that, go back to the mask, and just feather it like crazy. And then you can see you kind of get this effect where you have like the spotlight. So that's all I did when I made this solid here. And yeah, that creates a little spotlight effect. And then when you play the whole clip back with the stabilization and the effects, it looks something like this. Alright, I really hope you liked this tutorial. I know it was a pretty quick one, and there also wasn't a lot of structure to it, especially because I already finished the shot before making this tutorial, since I didn't really plan on doing a tutorial for this. In the future, I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot more structured tutorials where I actually take you from start to finish in creating something, and don't just kind of talk about it theoretically, I guess. If you have any questions about this, because I know you might, considering I don't feel like I did the greatest job in the world explaining, please just leave it in the comment section, and I'd love to get back to you and help you out with anything that you might have questions with or need further expanding upon. And I really hope you found this helpful. I got a lot of questions about it, and I hope that some of them can be answered now that this video is out there. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you in the next one.